Hello everyone and welcome to The No Show. I'll be your host Nathan Orenstein, and today I'm going to be reviewing Joker Folie. Joker Folie is written by Scott Silver and Todd Phillips, directed by Todd Phillips, and stars Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. Following the crimes he committed, Arthur Fleck finds himself locked up in Arkham State Hospital as he awaits his trial. He meets Lee Quinzel there, who he quickly falls in love with, and who tries to help him through his highly publicized murder trial. Joker Folie is a sequel to 2019's Joker. Let's just address the elephant in the room right away. Joker Folie, despite not advertising itself as one, is indeed a musical. Now, it's not telling the story of the film through the songs, and the songs weren't written for the movie, but there is a lot of song and dance here, and it just feels strange. I knew going into this that it was a musical, but that didn't make it any less weird for me. This is, for the most part, a courtroom drama. And when it's not a courtroom drama, it's a prison drama. Not really a sing-songy kind of vibe, you know? And if you've seen 2019's Joker, you know how suffocating the atmosphere of that film was. The Gotham depicted in that movie was bleak and hopeless, and it was ultimately the breeding ground for Arthur Fleck to become the murderous clown known as the Joker. And Folie isn't much different in terms of the dreariness of its atmosphere. So when Joaquin Phoenix or Lady Gaga breaks out in the song, it's understandably a bit weird. Now don't get me wrong, these aren't necessarily bad moments. Lady Gaga is obviously a very talented singer, and these musical numbers are actually where the production design really shines through. But I can't help but ask, why? Like I said earlier, the songs aren't telling the story here like they do in a lot of musicals. They're just normal songs. So now, every 10 minutes or so, the story essentially grinds to a halt so the movie can become this other thing for a few minutes. I guess it maybe sort of fits the character a little bit. I mean, Arthur did dance around like 2 or 3 times in the original film, but it definitely does not seem like a natural progression for the sequel to suddenly be a musical. It just comes off as a really, really bizarre decision, and not one that ever at any point felt justified. Unfortunately, the non-musical parts of this movie don't really fare much better either. Apparently, Todd Phillips had never really intended to make a sequel to Joker, and it shows. The story here picks off pretty much where the last one left off, but it hardly goes anywhere from there. The 2 most notable elements of the story are that Arthur meets Lee, and Arthur has his trial. Arthur's relationship with Lee is a strange one. The film spends pretty much no time establishing the relationship at all, and yet expects us to just go along with it when Lee becomes pretty much the biggest factor in Arthur's life. It really felt like it just skipped over any sort of development there, and Lee's character wound up feeling over-important to the story while also being underrepresented on screen. Just a bizarre use of this new character. And regarding Arthur's trial, that honestly should have been a home run for me. I'm a sucker for a courtroom drama, so Folie already had that working for it. But the trial stuff is just incredibly uninteresting. We get to rehash a lot of the events of the previous film, with hardly any sort of additional insight into anything. The movie also doesn't feel like it has anything to say. While I thought the first film was about as deep as a puddle, it was still obvious what it was trying to say about society at large, and it did a decent job of showing that. Folie doesn't seem to know what it wants to say, and it feels like it's contradicting itself all over the place. It's confused with its characters, its themes, its story, its genre, and it just makes for a mess of a watch that isn't satisfying in any way. The story hardly goes anywhere, and the continued development of Arthur as a character hardly goes anywhere too. Like I said, it's incredibly obvious that Todd Phillips never intended to make a sequel, because this feels like tacking onto the story for no reason other than to make some more money. On the bright side, the film is at least competently made in terms of actual technical filmmaking. The cinematography is overall pretty good, with the real highlights coming in the musical numbers, where the set design and the lighting really look great. Hildur Gunnadóttir, who actually won Best Original Score at the Oscars for Joker, makes her return in Folie, and the score is once again a highlight of the film. And Joaquin Phoenix is obviously great here as Arthur Fleck / the Joker, although not quite as impressive as he was in 2019's Joker, for which he obviously won an Oscar for. All of this is to say that there is clear talent and artistic intent behind this film, but it doesn't really do much to improve the experience when the foundation is so weak. This is the film equivalent of putting lipstick on a pig. If you couldn't tell, I did not think Joker Folie à Deux was a good movie at all, and I can't imagine recommending this to anyone. I don't know who the target audience was for this movie. It clearly wasn't for fans of the original film. And I was already lukewarm on 2019's Joker, so I'm not slamming this movie because I was betrayed or something and my expectations weren't met. I'm slamming this movie because it sucks. It feels like they made an entire movie based on an idea that was never going to work, didn't put any effort into the writing whatsoever, and then got their marketing team to try to throw people off the scent. None of the individual elements here are terrible necessarily, but when you start piecing them together in a way that makes no sense whatsoever, the film ultimately becomes a lot worse than the sum of its parts. I'm going to be giving Joker Folie à Deux a 3 out of 10. If you enjoyed the review, then feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. And if you've seen Joker Folie à Deux already, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. I've been Nathan Orenstein with The No Show. Thanks for watching.